This is verse 21 of the 5th chapter of the Gospel of John. Jesus has just been astonishing, I suppose, the religious leaders as he essentially has called God his individual Father, my Father. He's then added even more intensity to what he's saying by indicating that the things that the Father does are precisely the same things that the Son himself does, which again would be taking to himself the very prerogatives of God. And now we have maybe the most astonishing expression of this of all, because the most dramatic thing that God can do, the thing really only God can do, is to give life. And it is at this point that Jesus now puts himself in the same shoes as the deity. Hosper, this is actually a combination of a couple of words, hos, as, and per, from a word that actually gives a derivative meaning of just, so it is the idea just as, in the same way as, gar, postpositive, for, just as, ho pater, the Father, just as the Father, egere. This is from egero. I raise up is the meaning. This is the third person, singular, present active indicative, just as the Father raises up. Tous, this is accusative, masculine, plural, raises up, direct object of raises up. Tous necrus. Necrus, the word for dead. Of course, we have the English word necrotic and other words that are based on that Greek word. Raises the dead, kai, and zoopoye. This is actually a combination of a couple of words. Poieo, of course, we've seen on other occasions. I make or I do would be the meaning of that. The zo part of this is related to the Greek word zoe, which means life. And so the verb together means to make life, or to give life, we might say, to quicken, to enliven, that idea. And so Jesus says, as the Father raises the dead and gives life impliedly to them, hutos, thus, kai, and ho huios, thus also the Son, zopoye, same word. So what the Son is doing here, the Father is doing here. And again, we see the dramatic parallel in which Jesus is putting himself essentially in the shoes of God. He's saying, so also the Son gives life to whom? Quickens, enlivens, hosts. This is the relative pronoun. It's the accusative, plural, masculine, and so raises up those whom thele, he wishes, thelo, I wish, thele, third person singular, present active indicative. So Jesus essentially is putting this in the present tense. As the Father gives life to the dead and raises them up and gives them life, so also the Son does precisely the same thing. The fact that it's in the present tense, plus the general tenor of the context, suggest that what is being discussed here is not the final resurrection, the resurrection at the end of history, in which there's going to be a final adjudication of the human race, both the righteous and the wicked, as the New Testament indicates. But this seems to be something that is happening even now, right now. And there is, of course, a sense in which the New Testament affirms that God gives life to people just now. It goes by terms like new birth, regeneration. We saw that idea highlighted earlier in John in the conversation with Nicodemus. It's also echoed in the conversation with the woman at the well and the living water, which takes up its residence inside of a person. The thing that's remarkable here, of course, is that Jesus is now indicating that this is something God does, and at the same time stating quite emphatically that it's something the Son does. And so once again, we have one of these situations where it's hard to avoid the inference that Jesus is setting himself forth, presenting himself now to these leaders and to all of us as nothing less than God among us.